I would first like to welcome you to our conference Towards Low Carbon Prosperity. In order to remain in the 2-degree corridor, which is strongly recommended by scientists and climate researchers, we must act on the most important international shifting in favor of climate compatibility over the next decade. We therefore hope that we may get a discussion started today that will continue to be instrumental for important ideas of low-carbon transformation to be discussed internationally. I would like to express my gratitude to the high-level speakers at today's conference. Ministers, state secretaries, high-level representatives from business and civil society, individuals who are taking responsibility for the transformation towards sustainability.
We, the climate scientists, are the planetary rating agency, so to speak. And what we find is that the world is accumulating debt over debt for future generations, clearly. So the mantra is more or less growth of prosperity worldwide and shrinking of the carbon input. Therefore, nobody else, I guess, in the world is more qualified and welcome to give the keynote speech here. Frau Bundeskanzlerin.
Federal Chancellor, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Let me say very clearly that my vision of Germany and Europe taking a pioneering role also has an ethical dimension. Of course, taking that role is partly about safeguarding our own standard of living, but it is also our moral duty to conduct testing phases, to learn how best to deal with the complex systems of new energy supplies, resource efficiency and efficient technologies, and to subsidize progress. After all, while other countries did not yet have the possibilities to pursue the same prosperity as we enjoyed, we spent many years and decades overexploiting the world's resources. Research is the key for a successful energy system transformation, or as we call it, Energiewende. You're all here representing various branches of science, and I want to say one thing to you: stay stubborn. And, to put it bluntly, don't be afraid to get on politicians' nerves from time to time. I wish you all the very best of discussions. It has been a privilege to speak to you. Thank you very much indeed.
I think it was incredibly inspiring, and I would ask that we find ways to have the Chancellor say such things in Washington, in Beijing, in other countries, because people will listen. And we need political leadership desperately on this issue.
China considers low-carbon development as a fundamental national strategy. Actions alone cannot ultimately resolve the climate problem. The actions need to be combined with the revolution of minds and the innovation of technologies.
In my view, incremental or voluntary measures are not sufficient, and we do need an international agreement that places directly or indirectly a price on greenhouse gas emissions.
For India, I think one of the major challenges is that we have nearly 700 million people who don't have access to clean cooking energy solutions. There has not been enough of an attention that has been paid to changes in governance that are required, to changes in the political systems and the institutions that we have that have been designed to take care of the problems of the 20th century, really, not the problems of the 21st century.
Fiscal responsibility and growth are inseparable. An attempt at a consumption-led recovery will not be credible. Structural reform is indeed essential, but it takes time. The low-carbon sector is the only credible growth story over the next few decades.
Our aim is an international comparison of national strategies. We hope this will lay the ground for a cross-national coalition of experts. We cannot fully predict a process such as the transformation of energy systems. Until 2050, this would be a complex situation for decision-making. That means we must engage in a joint learning process where we are constantly developing new alternatives, present scenarios as a basis for taking decisions which again are readjusted after some time. This means also that science takes the responsibility and does give recommendations. We cannot design policies without such recommendations.
Schopenhauer, the German philosopher, talked about the transitions of truth and how truth went through three phases. That first you were ridiculed when you put something out there as a great idea. Then you were violently opposed. And then eventually you were just taken as self-evident. We see the renewable energy space going through these stages quite clearly. In the beginning, it was not taken seriously. This could never be big. Now we're in the stage of violent opposition.
Who will drive that transformation? We need coalitions of like-minded cities, states within countries, the Gujarats, the Californias, that move iconic transformational policies and change forward and join hands. Also companies. Sometimes actually have the feeling that business boardrooms are ahead in this long-term perspective planning of political cabinet rooms.
The size of the challenge, the climate change challenge, to solve it is so large. We're talking about yet another industrial revolution because it's a big change in the way society uses energy.
The challenge is that you need upfront investment for that, maybe 50% larger than what we're investing in energy today, perhaps 100% larger. We give that difference that we need in the additional investment for energy subsidies today. And by and large, those subsidies are inhibiting the transformational change we are talking about. So it's actually a question of doing things differently.
In Japan, that the people say that the climate change is just a kind of a promotion of nuclear power. We shut down 45 reactors, which were online 14 months ago. But I still would like to celebrate this situation because we are not living in dark.
The energy transition succeeds in Germany. It's not going to solve the climate crisis, as important as it may be. But what is incredibly important is the model that it serves for everyone else around how to decarbonize the power sector. I see this as a global public good. I think this is the moment where we need to begin to lay the foundation for constructing partnerships between Germany and a number of the other G20 countries.
It's not in the first row, renewables. In Germany, as well as in other countries, the focus is too much on power generation and too much on the energy mix. But the focus has to be on energy efficiency, on the demand side, and these issues.
The Danish government established a commission to examine when Denmark could become independent of fossil fuels. I was the chairman of that commission. There were 10 people on the commission, 5 economists, and again, it's a good thing Nick is gone, but if I learned nothing else, I discovered economy is not an exact science. And it turned out there was no price difference between going green or... So they said, this can't be right, because everybody knows it's dead expensive.
So I close with Albert Einstein, who said, for example, the biggest resource of all for shaping the future is fantasy, because fantasy is unlimited. So let's move towards a world which we may call Fantasy Unlimited, and I thank you all for being here.